Hey guys, welcome back to Thunderdome Homestead. Hope y'all are doing good. Missed you guys. So, Nicolas Maduro has been captured. That's fun. We invaded Venezuela and whisked their president back off to the United States for, I guess, charges of some sort. I don't know. I never know what's going on anymore. This world has gotten stupid. Anyway, there's a topic I wanted to talk about today, and that is you don't have enough water. You don't. So, we bought this house about a year ago, and we've had intermittent water issues, just running out of water quickly, and the recovery rate wasn't as good as it should have been, and our flow rate wasn't very great from our well. Come to find out, several $1,000s later, that our well had caved in. So, about 25 feet down is where the casing inside of the well stopped. Below that was all open hole. We had a well drilling company come out, and they said we were absolutely shocked and surprised we could get the submersible pump out of the well because everything had caved in on it. And we were getting, I think it was 10 minutes, there was half a gallon. Like, that's abysmal. So, for the last 6 months, we have been hauling buckets and relying on my rain catchment system and water that we had stored back for a rainy day. That's been less than ideal. And once you start doing that, you realize, you flush toilets a couple times a day. You got 4 people living in the house at the time. You go through about 55 gallons between, dishes and everything. That's not including laundry. You go through, drinking water and dishes and all that. You go through 55 gallons in about, I would say, 4 or 5 days. And that's including livestock as well. We have livestock. We have chickens and ducks and guineas and quail and turkeys and all of that. So that adds up rather quickly. So a few lessons we've learned. You don't have enough water. It goes that fast. So we have been waiting for months for a drilling company to come out and drill us a new well, because we need a whole new well. That's 20 grand. So whenever they come out, I have some funds set aside to put in a hand pump, because I am not going without water again, not like this. So we're going to put that hand pump in, and that would give us unlimited water on demand, no power needed, none of that. But a few lessons that we learned. If you are going without water, near your kitchen sink, or any sink that you want, we have found that, like the bathroom sink, when you have to continually wash your hands, it's a good idea to fill the sink up and leave it full and put the stopper in. And that way, as you use the restroom, whatever, you can wash your hands in the water that's sitting there. I mean, you can only probably do it a couple times before you got to change the water out. But that's not running. When it's sitting there, it's on demand, it's ready to rock and roll. Paper and plastic, cups, plates, bowls, spoons, forks, knives, that's king. If you don't have that in your preps, get them. Seriously, get them. Because if you think that there's any sort of chance of grid down or anything like that, you're going to want paper and plastic, trust me. Um, Next, they make wine buckets. So they're called racking buckets for making wine. They have a spout on the bottom of it to drain off the liquid down about that far from the bottom, because when you make wine, you have sediment that settles to the bottom, solids that you don't want in your wine. That stuff will settle to the bottom. This is put far up off enough the bottom to where it won't suck that in, but it'll get all the liquid off, and then you can do what's called racking. So you transfer back and forth between a few different containers, and you can kind of clarify everything out of it, and it makes it a little bit easier. I would recommend getting one of those and keeping it on your kitchen sink for on-demand, put running water, to where you just open the valve, wash your hands, or rinse off a dish, or what have you, shut the valve off, done. I'll show you a few different things that I've kind of done here that have saved our butt, so hold up. Okay, so this is my indoor water storage. I've got 4 of these blue rain barrels that I put these spigots on. They're relatively cheap and easy to put on. That one's almost empty, but you can see that they got water in them. These are down in my basement so that they don't freeze when it's cold out like it is right now. We've got about a foot of snow outside, and last I checked it was around 10 degrees. So this is one of the solutions. It's not a longer term solution, and I know not everybody can do this, but for those who can, this is an idea. So as you can see, we have almost 2,000 gallons of rain catchment, but that's not doing us any good right now since it's freezing outside. I have the system decommissioned right now while it's freezing, so that the pipes don't freeze and burst, and PVC isn't as cheap as it used to be. I also put in a small landscape pond. It holds, I would say, roughly 100 gallons of water, and I will be stocking that with fish this summer. So that's another food source on property and another water source all in one. Plus it's nice. It's a little, I put in a little waterfall feature. It'll be nice to listen to the water trickle, and I'm gonna landscape that whole area out with mulch and some landscape lighting, and it'll be real nice. But it's also serves as an additional water and food source in the event of an emergency. So everybody here, if you're somewhat seasoned in preparedness, has heard of PACE, Primary Alternate Contingency Emergency. So my ultimate goal is primary to be everything's working as normal, nothing goes wrong, nothing goes awry. We can just turn on the faucet. Once we have our new well, good to go. Beyond that, alternate would be, I have a few EcoFlow solar generators and a spare battery, and I'm putting in what's called a transfer switch, which basically hooks into your breaker box in your house, and when the power goes out, you just flip a couple switches. Certain circuits inside of your house will be powered, so certain outlets will have power to them, certain ones won't. The well pump is going to be one of those things that I do power. So yeah, we might not have hot water, but we will still have water, running water, which we can heat up on the wood stove, which it's not a big deal. So that would be alternate solar power for the well. Contingency is going to be I'm getting simple pump, hand pump to put in the well, so I can just hand pump the water out like people did back in the day, and that would be my contingency. An emergency is a combination of what we're doing now. So between the storage barrels down in the basement for the wintertime, the rain catchment outside in the summertime, the pond, all of that, and then there's also a spring that, since we had a pretty good drought this year, the spring dried up, which I've been told it's not common for that spring to dry up, but it did this year. So that is my emergency. I hope we don't have to get to that point, but it is what it is. So my main point, I guess, at the end of this video is you don't put enough of an emphasis on water, and you don't realize how complicated and how much of a pain in the butt life can be without running water. You don't have enough of it, and you really start to learn how to ration it when you got to drive, a ways sometimes to go get it. And it's definitely been kind of a dry run for SHTF for us. We've learned a lot. We've gotten a lot of experience out of it. Has it sucked? Yes. But did we actually learn a lot from it? Absolutely. So anyhow, I'll leave you guys with that. Hope everybody's doing awesome. Happy New Year to everybody. And I will talk at y'all later. Like, share, subscribe. Bye.